Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. DOS here. I'd been considering on making a video like this the other week, and I thought against it because of the response that Behavior gave regarding the bugs and patch and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I don't need to make this, but I definitely need to now. For those of you who are not aware, earlier in the week on Monday, Behavior had a live stream that included the actor for Carl from The Walking Dead named Chandler Riggs. Now, this stream was also happening with G_Burb, Ghost Arcade, Mish, and Starva, all there co-streaming, and the plan was that they were going to be playing games with Chandler, and they're going to be just having some fun talking about The Walking Dead and asking questions and stuff along those lines. And it was just supposed to be a really, really fun little stream. And it ended up not being that at all. So the stream was plagued with audio issues. There was a lot of echoing audio on certain scenes for the stream. And on top of that, the actor, the person that the majority of people are going to be there to watch and are interested in seeing, his mic audio was muted for about like half of the stream. But that's not even the worst of it. They were doing this live and they were doing a custom match. And that's cool. That's really nice. That's something that they haven't really done in a very long time, where they've had live gameplay, live stuff happening. A lot of people were thinking maybe this was going to be pre-recorded because honestly, they have done pre-recorded stuff a lot, and they probably should have. Because the moment they started to play their custom games and try to, have fun, the server started to shut down. The characters were teleporting all over the place, and people were freezing in place and couldn't do anything. And the reason being is hackers got into the lobby. Hackers were DDoSing the lobby and making it literally unplayable. Now, Starva had foreseen that something like this was going to happen, and he had a contingency plan, and he tried to iterate that to the developers of Behavior. His plan was he was going to have Behavior employees, hopefully, fill up all the spectating slots in the custom game. And the reason being is if all the spectator slots are filled, then the hackers aren't able to populate one of those spots and mess with the game. Now, he had this plan because creators like Atstarva and Hens and all these other big creators have been dealing with this hacker issue constantly for quite a while now. And Otofu recently had a DBD tournament, and they avoided all of this by doing exactly what Odds had planned with the developer stream. They had all the spectating slots filled prior to going into the match. Because if all the spots are filled, the hackers aren't able to get into the game because they have nowhere to go. Now, Starva kept trying to iterate this to developers and stuff like that, and for some reason, the developers just weren't joining the lobby. I don't know if it's because they didn't have any of their computers with the current build on or prepared or anything. And so Starva took it into his own hands and decided, you know what, I'm going to invite my moderators. They're trusted people. We're going to have them fill in the slots, and this will fix it. Now, you can probably see on your screen here from Starva's stream, his moderators join, and then they immediately get kicked out of the lobby. Now, I'm not certain as to what was happening here. It's either the developers kicking out the moderators, or it's the hackers are auto-kicking the moderators. I'm not certain. My belief and the current belief is that it's the moderators kicking them out. My belief and the current belief is that it's the developers kicking them out. And the understanding is they might have done this because the moderators aren't under an NDA. They're not contracted and stuff like that. And it's some kind of legal jargon. But that also wouldn't be a good excuse as to why the developers didn't fire up the game on their end and just join the lobby. And this kept happening for a solid 40 minutes. It was just these constant issues, this constant trying to figure things out, and Otstarva trying to help, trying to take initiative, and being ignored. And it was a very frustrating and embarrassing thing to watch. And so at the end, they just gave up and they did a Q&A with Chandler on the couch, and then that was the last thing for the stream. All the other creators just ended up ending their stream because they went live at times they probably wouldn't have for this specific thing. And it was frustrating. It was embarrassing, it was annoying. And there's multiple things that confuses myself and the community. Why wasn't this pre-recorded? Why weren't they on a private build? And why wouldn't they just listen and try Otz's plan? You see, if this was pre-recorded, then they could have avoided the hackers altogether, because the hackers wouldn't have been able to know when to attack the servers when any of this was happening. If they did this on a private build, then they could have avoided this altogether, because the hackers won't have access to that. And you might ask, like, what do you mean private build? Well, there's multiple times where something new is coming to the game and content creators get early access to it. A perfect example would be the Resident Evil 2 V8. So I think it was about a day early. Content creators like The King, Polyester, and stuff like that got a private build to play the new 2 V8 and stream it and make content about it. This was not on the live servers. This was not something that everybody could access. They could have done something like that. They could have made a private build of Dead by Daylight to do this. And you might say, like, oh, is it worth it? Well, considering that you have a celebrity guest and are probably spending a lot of money on this guest, and it's something that is very big and going to be hopefully boosting the eyes of your game with your current Walking Dead chapter, you would take the time to do something like that. And there was plenty of time for them to do this. This stream was announced well in advance, and it just ended up being a real shit show. Hell, on Mish's stream, you can hear the audio of Chandler, and he's talking with the developers.
Yeah. Otz was saying that, like, if we fill up the lobby completely with spectators, but is that not going to work?
No, not for what this is.
Okay. Gotcha.
He's saying, yeah. Otz was saying, like, if we fill up the lobby completely with spectators, and then he gets cut off, is that not going to work? And then behavior staff goes and says, yeah, no, it doesn't. No, not for this. And she cuts him off. There's just a massive amount of miscommunication and just not conducting themselves in a way that should be expected. However, on August 12th, Behavior had a response on Twitter and, well, all their social medias. And it reads as follows. Yesterday's live stream with Chandler Riggs and our creators didn't go as planned. We want to sincerely apologize for how things unfolded. As most of you are now aware, we couldn't complete a match because the dedicated server players were on was the target of an attack. This put our content creators in an incredibly difficult position trying to troubleshoot and adapt in real time while live. We know our creators have experienced similar issues, and they showed remarkable patience and resourcefulness, offering suggestions to help get things back on track. While security team was on hand during the incident, we didn't properly assess the situation and didn't act on potential mitigation plans, and this is a failure on our part. We want to be clear, our creators and our community are the core of what we do. The last thing we want is for them to feel ignored or left out of the loop. We didn't communicate well enough yesterday, and we're taking a hard look at how we do better moving forward. We also want to take the time to apologize to all of you, our DBD players. What was meant to be a fun moment bringing our community together turned out to be the opposite. After talking to creators, we are taking their feedback to improve how we run these streams in the future. Lastly, we want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Chandler Riggs, G_Burb, Ghost Arcade, Mish, and Otstarva for their time and support yesterday. Having Chandler and Rick Grimes for DBD at our office was still an amazing moment that we're really proud to have seen happen, and the continuous passion shown by our content creators and community is not something we take for granted. That was Behavior's response. And it's a pretty good response. And here's the thing. It's not entirely Behavior's fault for this. It is mainly the bad actors, the hackers' fault. Obviously, the audio stuff and stuff like that, that is completely Behavior's fault. And you can blame Behavior for a ton of other stuff. But for what was happening with the constant attacks and stuff like that, that's not necessarily Behavior's fault. Now, here's the thing, though. Hackers have been a huge thing with Dead by Daylight for a very long time. It has impacted the health of the game significantly and the enjoyment of the game for a lot of creators and bigger people in general significantly. This has been something that's gone on for years. And it's hard to combat against hackers in any game. However, I feel like Dead by Daylight has not done their justice in trying to combat against hackers. Considering how easy it is for hackers to be in the game and to do super malicious things with it, their anti-cheat is a joke then. And one of the reasons why this is such a big thing is because for a short period of time, Dead by Daylight was free on Epic Games. And so a ton of these hackers just got a ton of accounts on Epic Games so that they can keep using them again and again and again. And the problem is with this whole stream compounded with what has just happened with the launch of the Walking Dead chapter, with how many bugs and issues and exploits that came out and how slow and nonchalant the response was to a lot of this, it's left a huge blemish on the perception of this game and the developers. And quite honestly, this is probably going to be something that's going to stay with Behavior for either a very long time or till the end. This has been, in lack for a better term, a shit show. And so I think myself and the rest of the community can agree Dead by Daylight needs a serious project health. I understand that Behavior needs to make money and their chapters and stuff like that are a big source of that, but I'm saying this now, and I've told them to their face before. They need to take a pause on creating new chapters, new content, and stuff like that, and just focus on fixing their game, improving their game. They need to do what Rainbow Six Siege did, and have a pause on any new content coming out, and have it be a focus on fixing long-standing bugs, long-standing issues, and improving the overall health of the game. Because there has been tons and tons of issues and bugs and exploits that have been in Dead by Daylight for weeks to months to even over a year. And I get it. It's hard to squash everything. I a lot of times go to bat for Behavior because being a developer is something that is extremely difficult. You're not able to foresee every single bug that's going to happen. You're not able to predict what something's going to do in relation to something else. It's not something that you can really handle. And there's certainly stuff that is super easy to realize and take care of, like the gym beam in the offering screen. Like, if you would have tested a match and played the game, you would have seen that was a thing, that asset is showing in the offering screen. But I think moving forward, Behavior really needs to take things seriously. Creators like Otstarva have offered many great options and opportunities to improve, whether it's on a killer's power or how a perk works or even just general gameplay. And Behavior have ignored it a lot. So much so that Otstarva had stated that he was going to stop making videos of that kind because Behavior just ends up ignoring it and not taking it seriously. I think that's a big problem, is Behavior doesn't take things that their biggest creators and the community overall say seriously. And I understand a lot of the players of Dead by Daylight are not game developers, and a lot of stuff they might say might be a whole crock of shit. But it's something that they can consider and they can try, and they can even acknowledge. The stream for Chandler Riggs is the perfect example of this. If they would have just attempted what Ots was trying, they could have ruled it out to see if it worked or not. They could have remade the lobby, they could have remade it privately and had moderators join or have Behavior staff join and then tried it again. And if there weren't any issues, then we know it would have worked. And if there was still issues, then we would have known that Ots' solution wouldn't have worked. So that's going to be my video for this week. It's mainly just ranting and talking about this entire situation. But for those of you who have watched till the end here, I want you guys to comment down below. I want you to tell me what has been your general experience with Dead by Daylight regarding bugs and hackers, stuff along those lines. And honestly, I want you guys to tell me what you hope to see from behavior. And I mean this in a very legitimate sense. I don't want you to be memey and to joke and say like, oh, I want them to delete Trickster. I want them to delete Skull Merchant and stuff like that. I want to legitimately know what you want to see, what type of initiative you want. I want to know what bugs that you've had that have been a constant issue for you get fixed. Because this whole fiasco has been, in all honesty, an embarrassment. That's going to be it for me for this video. For anyone here that cares or anything like that, I'm actually going to be gone starting on Thursday of this week. I'm going to be at Pokemon Worlds for the entirety of the weekend. If anyone is watching this and are going to be attending Pokemon Worlds, and if you see me around, go ahead, by all means, say hi. I'm more than happy to greet anyone that might also be there. I'm hoping I'm going to have a good time, but I'm probably going to be a bit more quiet. If any Dead by Daylight news comes out, like especially on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm most likely not going to be able to really talk about it all that much or make a community post about it, but it's neither here nor there. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like if you like the content. And I haven't really mentioned this a whole lot, but I do have channel memberships. They opened about a month ago. Channel memberships allow you to get certain badges next to your name. You get access to the emojis I have. And on top of that, whenever I post a video, I tend to make it go live a bit early for members only. So if you want a little bit of early access with videos that are able to be early access, then go ahead and become a member and you'll be able to get that ability to watch stuff before anyone else. But as always, I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, and evening. Bye, everyone.